happening, fellow fantasy GMs? I am JJ Wang. He is the bearded one, DJ Dove. And with our powers combined, we are the Fantasy Couriers.
Well, JJ Wang, now we have answers. No longer do we just have rookies, dudes that played college football. What's going to happen to this guy? Guys we like, guys we don't like. Now we have locations. And for some of these guys, that is spectacular. For other of these guys, I remember last year about this time, we were really sort of worried a lot about it. Seemed like every running back landed in like the crappiest spot in the world, which is why some of them were ho hum. And Bucky Irving, the guy that we thought nothing of, ended up being pretty splendiferous. So, any what do you have? Is we're just gonna go through some of the rookies, talk about some things we feel about what's going on, where we're going to head, and it's gonna lead us into next week when we're gonna do our a rookie mock draft. As a lot of them have started, I'm in a long slow draft that started 2 days ago, and 3 guys have picked because there's no clock, and I guess they don't pay attention. I don't know, and I got a couple starting throughout the month. But what are your initial first reactions about the rookies? How are you feeling right now about how guys did, where they landed, trades that went on, and the future of this rookie fantasy class?
I'm fine with it. Like I said, I think there's some winners, there's some losers. I think most of the running backs landed in a pretty good spot. Couple of the there's not really that many wide receivers to really go on anyway. It's not really too excited about those per se, and of course the quarterbacks were just a jumbled mess. But I think the most surprising thing was like maybe the tight ends, how they ended up turning out. But I think overall, I'm more or less happy with how things turned out.
Okay, and it was interesting to see. Like I'm sitting there the entire time. You mentioned the tight end, so Tyler Warren, who's supposed to be basically this year's Brock Bowers, right?
So they said.
Yeah, suppose as of now, like we're in stinking May, so who knows? Like we weren't high on Brock Bowers, so now we're all about any tight end, right? Because we dropped the ball. Like we knew he'd be good, but not holy moly this good with Mayer and being a Raider. But Tyler Warren's supposedly going to be along that Bowers Laporta kind of first year rookie. That's what everybody's thinking. But he was supposed to go to the Jets. Everybody thought Jets, 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 and then he fell to the Indianapolis Colts. So Tyler Warren went from Justin Fields, the stellar quarterback of passing not much and running a lot, to Danny Dimes or Anthony Richardson. What is Tyler Warren still, in your opinion, that much higher than Loveland or, I mean, even Taylor at this point? Or is there guys you're thinking of that it's a little closer than they should have been?
I think they're all pretty well. At least Tyler Warren and Loveland. I think they're pretty close. Kind of like Loveland's situation a little more as far as the offense goes. The offense for Indianapolis is so up in the air. I mean, you really want to put your player with the Dimes and with Daniel Jones and what's his name?
Anthony Richardson.
Richardson. I really don't want any of my players tied to them guys. So I think Loveland landed in a pretty good spot. But the only thing with Loveland, there's a lot of mouths to feed. It's kind of like how it was in Detroit last year. If it's going to be the same kind of offense, we see how Laporta kind of slipped out of that number one spot. But a couple of the later tight ends I think were pretty well. I mean, like the Harold Fannin to the Browns, I think that could work out. And the kid from Bowling Green, I'm not sure exactly. Well, Harold Fannin was Bowling Green. There was another one.
I love him, the Chargers.
Yeah, Elijah Arroyo to Seattle. He came out of Miami. I think that's another interesting one too. But like, who knows? Tight ends are so sketchy. I'm not. I don't. I mean, I'll have them on my team, but I'm not really expecting anything out of any of them except for maybe Warren and Loveland.
Yeah, it's interesting. Warren ended up being the second tight end taken too. So you got Loveland was taken at 10, and then Warren, I'm trying to think, Colts were 2 picks later. I'm trying to think what the
13 or 14.
I think they're a couple picks later. So, but yeah, it was interesting because everybody had Tyler Warren locked and loaded as the number one, and then Loveland went first, which is kind of an interesting thing. Who do you, if you had to, if you're doing rookie rankings, which I'll talk about in a bit, who's one and who's two? if you have.
I would put Loveland first, just because I think the offense is better. I mean, I think they got better quarterbacks. And then, like I said, I just don't trust the Indianapolis offense. I mean, I know Tyler Warren may be better than most of the tight ends on that roster now, but all of those tight ends in Indianapolis have never been really utilized in any type of way. I mean, hopefully Warren's a little better and he demands targets. But right now, the way Ben Johnson uses his tight ends a little more, I think Loveland should be tight end one and he went first. So obviously they want to use him.
Yeah, I still have Tyler Warren higher. I like the talent there, and I'm looking with like the Brock Bowers theory. I mean, Brock Bowers had nobody throwing to him last year, and he was that good that he got all those passes. And thinking, Anthony Richardson can't throw much, Danny Dimes can't throw much, so maybe they'll throw to the guy closest to the line of scrimmage, and that'll help him out. And so we're splitting hairs here. I mean, which guy is going to go first? I think on my consensus, I'm pretty sure they are fairly right on, almost if not next to each other. They're pretty stinking close to doing that. Let's go with the other nothing too great. We're looking at receivers. There was, Ted McMillan was the receiver per se that everybody's all excited about, but Travis Hunter, the Jaguars pushed all their money in and jumped up to 2 to take Hunter, and the way it's coming out is Hunter is going to, it sounds like, if I'm reading the tea leaves right, he's going to start as a receiver and then be eased into a cornerback versus vice versa. So do you feel, is Ted McMillan still number one, but do you feel better about Hunter than you did a week ago?
I think Ted McMillan's still number one because I think he's, at the end of the day, he's still a full-time wide receiver, and Travis Hunter's not going to be a full-time receiver. This is the NFL. I mean, there have been plenty of great athletes coming into the NFL, and none of them are really both sides of the ball. I mean, you can do that, and all of them do it in high school. Very, very few of them do it in college, and none of them do it in the NFL, and I think there's a reason. I think Travis Hunter is a great athlete, sure, but it's still to be seen whether he can play both sides of the ball that way. But it makes me feel better that he's going to be used more on offense. I think that PIP would probably be closer to the number 2 than he would be the number 1. Definitely interesting.
Would you put Hunter ahead of any of the guys after him? You're looking at Golden was taken in the first round. Emeka Egbuka, Jaden Hickens, I like. He's basically Nico Collins 2.0, but healthy. Or Luther Burden down in Chicago. Any of those guys, would you put him higher than them, or would you put him right around with those? Where would you place him in that bunch?
I'd probably put them all in the same bubble. I mean, if you wanted to take Travis Hunter over all of them, I wouldn't have any arguments with you. If you wanted to take any of them over Travis Hunter, I mean, I can understand completely that way as well. But yeah, I mean, the Matthew Golden one is very, very interesting. The fact that they finally take a first round wide receiver,
but it was him.
But at the end of the day, he's a good speed guy, 4.29, great. That's what he can run in the combine. But is he really a 4.29 guy on the field? Because he really wasn't that great at Texas, so not really too excited there with him. But I think they're all pretty much in the same spot.
I would say he was pretty good at Texas to go in the first round, but not like, this receiver class is down compared to other ones.
But I'm saying if he wouldn't have ran a 4.29, I don't think he would have been drafted as high as he would. But he really didn't look like he was a 4.29 guy at Texas. So
that's fair. Yeah, I don't think he's a first round. I think he would have fitted more with the second round kind of guy. You got the Ohio State receiver trying to keep the streak up, drafted by Tampa Bay to be a slot receiver where they just re-signed Chris Godwin with a giant bag of cash. You had McMillan, who looked really good last year, and Mike Evans, who has 1 or 2 more years. How do we play him? Do we play him like we played CD a couple years ago, where we knew, or JSN 2 years ago, where we know that something really good's coming from them? Or is this like, I don't understand what Tampa's doing?
I think JSN is actually a very good comparison. I didn't really think about that, but I think that's a very good comparison. It's pretty much the same situation. Seattle had two legit wide receivers, and JSN is the third. So yeah, I think that's exactly where it's going to be. But with what's his face's injury history over the last couple of years, even though they did give him all the money, it's still kind of or Godwin his injury history over the last year or two. I mean, it's kind of sketchy there. But yeah, I think JSN is right where you would put him. He might not be great this year, but I think eventually these guys are going to start retiring and they're all getting older. So yeah, I think that's a very good comparison.
Now I'll do one more group of guys, and we'll hit some of these guys over the next month. The next month is basically rookie palooza for us. Everybody, just get ready. We're looking at two guys who were essentially drafted to teams that recently got some young receivers, or they have guys that are established. We're looking at Jaden Higgins got drafted by Houston and Luther Burden to Chicago. So this should be the Nico Collins is healthy again, getting up there. Jaden Higgins is basically him, and then you got Luther Burden the third, who got drafted into Chicago after Rome Odunze got drafted in. These two guys probably are going to be drafted fairly close to each other. It looks like they're within two ECRs of each other on Fantasy Pros. Do you see either of these guys making an impact this year for their team? Because they're both still behind. Christian Kirk is essentially the guy ahead of Higgins right now. And DJ Moore is still a Bear, right?
Yeah, DJ Moore's still a Bear. Yeah.
So I thought he got traded in my head right now as I was saying it. And DJ Moore is essentially the guy ahead of Burden per se, because I think he's on the downslide and Duze's going up. So do either of these guys, or are they in the same kind of bucket as Emeka Egbuka? I'm gonna say his name wrong 1,000 times, but the Ohio State running receiver for the next year, and we just pray you pull the right guy.
Yeah, I think they're all in pretty much the same spot. I mean, Jaden Higgins has a couple receivers ahead of him, and they also drafted Jalen Noel. Houston did. So I mean, there's another receiver right there that that's going to be vying for playing time. And with Luther Burden, I mean, they drafted a tight end, number 10, so they're definitely going to use him. They still got DJ Moore, and then they still got Rome Odunze. So he's third or at best third option, maybe fourth, possibly fifth. So Jaden Higgins is the same way. So I don't really know if I really see a whole lot out of any of these guys this year, unless there's injury issues.
So patience is our big key this year, is what I'm hearing. Unless you get one of the top two or so, it's always the dynasty page thing, right? With rookies.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So you mentioned the other guy from Houston. So we're talking about Noel as well. I think that pretty much, does that signal the end for Tank Dell, or is it saying, hey, we got to win now because we look like a decent squad?
I don't know if it signals the end, but at some point Tank Dell has to stay healthy. I mean, you've got to bring in guys, because that's going to scare you. You've got to bring in guys that are going to be able to play. So I think he still has an opportunity, but I mean, I think his door is closing. So yeah, I mean, if you have Tank Dell, I wouldn't think his dynasty value is very high right now.
Okay, now on to the quarterbacks. There's some interesting things going on here. I mean, everybody, of course, the entire weekend, I'm just sick and tired of hearing about the amazing fall of Shedeur Sanders. If you listen to us long enough, I'm not a big fan of Shedeur Sanders, and I've zagged how I was going to run the show because I was going to say, guy that your opinion has changed on the most. And I want to start there because actually I like Shedeur Sanders more now than I did before the draft because of what we're going to pay for him. I don't think any longer is he going to be, we did that draft 2 weeks ago, right?
Yeah.
Where you took Shedeur at like number 3. I don't think he's going to be drafted there due to the giant fall. But for some reason, if he gets his head on straight, because it sounds like he was a total jackwad during all the interviews and stuff keeps leaking out and people don't want to deal with it. But if he takes this chip on his shoulder and just goes crazy whack, he could be the best quarterback in this class. And you can get him in a super flex, Are we looking at the end of the first round, maybe beginning a second at this point, or is he going to be higher?
I think it's probably going to be close to the second. Because like you said, you just don't know what he's going. I'm sure there are some fans out there that would probably take it. Like if I got a championship team, I mean, I'd be willing to throw a dart at the end of the first. Because if my team's that good, I don't need a whole lot of people. Besides, like after the 6th or 7th pick, I'm really not really excited about too many of these guys anyway. But yeah, so I mean, I'm definitely interested in him more now. But I think his head is on straight. It's just I think he's just got this
entitled arrogance.
I'm better than you attitude, and hopefully this will get him to understand. Like, look, dude, you're really not that much better than anybody just because your dad's Deion Sanders, and he's filled your head to where it's the size of a hot air balloon now. So hopefully this brings you down a little bit, and like maybe you can keep that chip on his shoulder. But yeah, I mean, not having to pay this much, and the quarterbacks that he's having to fight there in Cleveland, I mean, it's not like he's having to fight Josh Allen or somebody like that to have to jump over. I mean, he's got Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, and Dylan Gabriel. I mean, to be completely honest, I'd rather have Shedeur Sanders over all those guys.
And that was the other odd thing, like taking Dylan Gabriel out of Oregon in the third round, and then you rock Shedeur later. They basically said, "Hey, he's here. He's in the 5th round. Good grief, we can take the 80th cornerback or the second ranked by some people quarterback, and essentially, I forget, was it a 10th or so, whatever, quarterback off the board. If that, probably lower than that, but it was just a luxury pick, kind of like when you're late in the draft and for some reason this dude just falls there. You're like, if it doesn't pan out, you lose a couple $100,000 a year. He made more money playing college football than he will in his first 5 years in the pros, which is hilarious if you think about it. So do you think Dylan Gabriel has a chance?
Garbage.
Totally, dude. So
Garbage.
I think we both agree Cam Ward, like the situation, seems they're going to build around him. He'll have every opportunity to succeed. Correct? So that's pretty much the low-hanging fruit. Then after him, the interesting ones here, we're looking. I just realized that I have my rankings all jankied up. FYI, if you want to see where I stand, and it can go with ECR, I did do a quick rookie ranking. I'm going to fill them with some more. It was a quick one. But if you go to thefantasycouriers.com, click on DJ Does Rankings, my Fantasy Pros rankings are up there, and I can compare them with ECR. Some of them are a little more fun. Some of them are different than consensus might be, just because of my stubbornness. But I do have Shedeur Sanders as my number 4 quarterback, if it makes you, because I'm that intrigued by where he lands. But we're looking, I was big on Jackson Dart, who ended up with the Giants. He's stuck in that crowded quarterback room. In my heart of hearts, I hope he sets for a year. They let Russ cook, and then he gets the ball next year. You're looking at Tyler Show, who went to the Saints. That's where I thought Dart was going to go. There's a very good chance that kid gets to play day one because Carr is iffy, and he's got to beat out Spencer Rattler to get the starting job. Who amongst those two, and I'm tempted to throw in Jalen Milroe, but I don't want to talk bad about Sam Darnold quite yet. But who amongst those two guys do you like the future of better?
I mean, the future of, I kind of like Jackson Dart, still the future. Tyler Shuck is still an older quarterback. He's going to be like 26 by the time the season starts. I think he has the most interest to play right away. I do think Jackson Dart is going to set unless there's an injury or Russell Wilson is just that bad. But, like I said, I think Tyler Shuck has an opportunity to play right away. So, yeah, if you needed someone to play right now, I'd probably draft Tyler Shuck, but it is dynasty. I think Jackson Dart would be better in the long run. And like I said, Jaden Milroe, the upside is there. It's just whether or not he's able to throw the ball in the NFL.
He can run. That's for sure. And then everybody's darling Riley Leonard ended up going to the Colts. As bad as that quarterback room is, he could totally Russell Wilson himself into a starting role. That could be the shock of the year. One last guy, which I think I'm going to have to draft him just because of who I root for and the fact that I have Tua in too many places. Quinn Ewers. How many games will he start this year for the Miami Dolphins?
Probably 0. I don't really see.
You think they'll start Zach Wilson over him when Tua gets his noggin rocked?
I would probably go Zach Wilson over over Tua probably. Yeah, I'm not. I mean, Quinn, unless he's like completely sure. I mean, I'm not gonna say he completely doesn't show out. I mean, Zach Wilson. It's not like Zach Wilson's that would be that hard to beat out, but I think that Zach Wilson would be the number 2 going into the season.
I think he will be. I was just curious if they would be like, oh, cool, can't think him. Okay, we got a couple moments here. We'll just wrap up looking at running backs. We got the top. We knew Genty thought he was going to be up until that day. I thought he was going to be a Jaguar, but he went to where everybody thought he was. He's with Vegas. He's consensus number 1, I would say. Hampton's consensus number 2, but not where we thought. I thought he would be a Bronco, but he slipped down to the Chargers. Great situation, but are you worried a little bit about Hampton? We'll do quick hits for running back because that'll be the bulk of what we do the next month anyway. Quick hit for Hampton. Are you worried about him and Najee, or do you think it'll be a split, or might he set a little bit this year?
To be completely honest, I'm not worried about any of these running backs. I think all these running backs landed in a good spot. I think Najee Hampton might start the season, but Najee Harris might start the season, but I don't think we know what Najee Harris is. I mean, not really explosive. I think Hampton will be able to will take him about 4th or 5th game of the season. I think his athleticism ultimately wins out. And then Harris will slide in as the number 2. Of course, who knows? I don't really know what I'm talking about. But I mean, I like even with the Quishon Judkins for the Browns, I think he's got great opportunity. And Ramondre Stevenson is in a whole bunch of trouble. He might end up losing his spot to Travion Henderson. Like I said, we got RJ Harvey to Denver. I think that's a great spot for him to jump right in and be the starter immediately. The same way with Caleb Johnson in Pittsburgh. I think all 5 of those guys have an immediate road to playing time to be the starters immediately.
What about Cam Scatterboo in New York? Okay.
Nah, I still got my man. My guy.
I really love Tyron Tracy. I really don't need to lose him.
We'll wait on Scatterboo. And even Bashaw Tootin out of Virginia Tech going to Jacksonville. You know how I feel about Etienne. I think he might have a chance there as well.
I put Tootin. Let's see. I have him. Oh, no, I have him right where everybody has him. I didn't think he'd be that high, but he's ECR right now, running back 8 for the rookies, and I was in Jacksonville. But so does Samson scare you a little bit about Judkins at all? Because we liked him as well pre-draft. We're putting both of them there, or could they be a good tandem with Jerome? But Jerome Ford's still there.
It scares me. I mean, I could have put Dylan Sampson in this spot too. I think Quishon Judkins will get the immediate look. Dylan Sampson is like a little faster, more you probably outside type of runner, a little better. So I think they can actually be more of a 1-2 type situation, and neither one of them end up getting the full carries. So that one might be a little tricky there, but I think they both could be.
Who's Cleveland throwing to?
Who cares?
That's why they're going to get lots of points.
Just run the ball.
And just I'll give a quick sleeper, then I'll ask you one last question. What do you think about I got a guy who I ranked higher. I got him 3 spots higher in running back ECR. That's Jordan James in San Francisco. Knowing that San Francisco makes running backs out of putty, knowing that Christian McCaffrey's getting a little long in the tooth. They say he's healthy, air quotes, if you're listening to the podcast. Jordan James is a guy that I'm almost tempted to pay just a little bit more because of Shanahan. Am I foolish in that, or is that a good way to look?
I mean, not necessarily. I mean, we've seen that every running back that gets an opportunity there can perform. I mean, it's definitely a possibility. And honestly, I wouldn't be shy to see Jaden Blue for the Cowboys to get an opportunity. I think Jaden Blue is a pretty decent running back, and the Cowboys running back situation is not really good. So, I mean, I think Jaden Blue has an opportunity here, maybe not in the beginning of the season, but towards the middle of the season to actually make some waves moving up the roster.
Oh, interesting. I'm going to give you a this or that, and then we'll call it a day here. Let me go through these running backs. So let's go Ohio State running backs. You're on the board. You can draft Travion Henderson or Quinshon Judkins. Who are you drafting?
I think I'll go Travion Henderson.
Okay. I got him ranked higher. You got Caleb Johnson or RJ Harvey right on the board in your pick. Who are you taking?
I think I'm going to go Caleb Johnson.
Ironically, that's who I got higher. You got Cam Scatterboo or Dylan Sampson? They have probably similar roles, except opposite jobs for their teams.
I'm going to go Dylan Sampson. I think Dylan Sampson is a better running back. I think Scadaboo's just, I don't know. I'm not really a big fan.
Do you like Hampton more than Tet McMillan if you're at number 2?
Hampton at
He's fallen 2. Ted McMillan would be the other option. So is it team? Are they that close that if you need to build, you get Tet. If you're up there, you get Hamilton.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're a running back away, you take Hampton, and if you think you need a wide receiver, and I think you would go McMillan. So I think they're really, really close. I think that one is completely team dependent. I mean, I wouldn't. You could argue me either way there.
Okay, so what's your biggest, to close this out, JJ Wang? Tell us your biggest takeaway from the draft or something you're excited for, and then give us some wisdom.
I don't know if it's going to be, but I don't know if Ashton Jeanty is. I don't know. It's kind of the opposite of exciting. I don't know if I'm really that excited about Jeanty going to Oakland. Now, I do know that usually if a running back is drafted this high, they're usually successful. But it just doesn't excite me as much as it excites most people. Are you the opposite? Just for
I've been lower on Jeanty than most people. He'll have all the opportunity in the stinking world. That's not going to be a problem for him. But yeah, I'm not super high on Jeanty. I think the line is closer than most people think. Like, I don't believe he's a generational talent.
Yeah,
but when you're drafted, if you're drafted at 6, he's going to touch the ball 250, 300 times. So production will be there. But then, we've had other guys draft. I mean, Trent Richardson was number 4 in the draft, and he crapped the bed, and we thought he was going to. I mean, he was built like that running back you want. There was nothing wrong with the way that kid was built. He had
a good rookie season, though.
That's what I mean. So maybe Jeanty does that. Maybe Jeanty Sam Laporte is this year, and the next year we got him up at number 2, and then because he is a Raider, but Pete Carroll's there. And we know Pete Carroll loves to run the rock. Geno Smith can't pass, so that means he's got to run the rock. And Jeanty is the number 6 guy, so they've got him for 4 or 5 years at a decent rate. So I think he's going to get every opportunity. I don't know if I love him that much more over. I mean, if I had the one, I would have no problem trading back to get. I mean, what are we looking at? Look at Jeanty. If you could trade back and get some assets, would you do it to get Hampton?
Oh, absolutely, 100%. I'd rather have a running back in Harbaugh. Like, I mean, this is going to be like the Baltimore Ravens type running game here, and I'd rather have a Baltimore type running game than an Oakland Raiders anything. I think the Raiders are not good, so give me what they've got going on with the Chargers, and I think I'll take that.
Let's see how far you would trade back. Jeanty or Hampton? Trade back.
I would trade back and take Hampton.
Henderson.
I think that's probably about as far as I would, because I'm not really sure.
McMillan?
What's that?
McMillan?
I would probably.
Looks like you would really you still have Jeanty more or less as your 1A, 1B with him. Like I liked Hampton before better. And
me too. Me too.
I don't know if I don't know if I'm brazen enough. Right now I got Jeanty ranked as my 1, but realistically in my heart of hearts, I like Hampton better.
Yeah. It's like you said, I'm not sure if I'm brave enough to drop Jeanty. I'm sitting here talking like I don't think he's going to be that good, but I also don't know if I'm brave enough to draft all those other guys over him. Because then I would act like I'm trying to act like the smartest guy in the room, and it could easily backfire. Like, I just think the situation and with the Chargers is better than the situation with the Raiders.
Okay. And what was I will save it for later. Give us some wisdom for the week.
My last wisdom. I'm just going to wrap up WrestleMania. I know it's a week later. I just wanted to talk about how much of a fan I wasn't really. I'm not a fan of like the John Cena Cody Rhodes match. I think the match itself was fine until Homeboy got involved. Travis Scott got involved. I think that kind of ruined ruined everything. It took him 12 minutes to walk to the ring. I thought that was just absolutely stupid. Didn't make much sense at all. But I do like John Cena as a heel. I think they made the right choice making him champion. It gives Cody Rhodes some time off. I just think they botched the ending.
They botched so many endings. They botched
of that match. So
I love Seth Rollins though. He's my new favorite.
Oh yeah, I thought that was fantastic. So as always, trust yourself and trust the process.